Helping children cope with grief and loss. The purpose of this module is to provide guidance on ways to manage children's feelings of loss and grief during the COVID-19 crisis. A note for medical providers. While medical providers are focused on caring for their adult patients, they are often faced with communicating traumatic information to children and families. We hope that the tips for parents that we have included in this module can be useful to you in these times. We also encourage you to acknowledge your own grief around this difficult position, and to follow some of the practices recommended here to find comfort and support whenever possible. Let's start with the loss and grief that society as a whole is currently experiencing. In this case, unless your household is stress-free and absent of overt changes to day-to-day life, which is highly unlikely, it's important to acknowledge that this experience is one in which we have lost the familiarity of our day-to-day routines and have been forced to accept some degree of uncertainty. It's painful for children to lose freedom and connection. This is especially true for older kids, who thrive most in peer-to-peer interactions. These losses are important to acknowledge and grieve. Accept all feelings. It's also important to remember that grief, while it may present as sadness, may also present as anger. Like with all feelings, when we acknowledge and name our feelings without judgment, we can take a step forward toward acceptance and toward feeling better. In this crisis, all feelings are okay. Avoid making comparisons to those who are in worse situations or implying that your child is overreacting. And while it's important to have feelings of gratitude for our health and safety, help children to be compassionate with themselves around negative feelings as well. If you can establish frequent check-ins on these negative feelings, maybe for 5 minutes a day, it will keep them from becoming too overwhelming. Instead of holding feelings in until they explode, children can work to express them daily in small ways. You can model this for your children by saying something like, "I know there are many more concerns in the world right now, but I want to say that right now I feel angry that I can't see my friends." And as all our households may be more tense and angry in these uncertain times, activities like maintaining routines and engaging in self-care are even more important. More on those activities to come. Scary scenarios and general fears. Children may also be imagining scary scenarios or have a lot of questions about death related to COVID-19, but not related to the loss of a loved one. These kids may be exposed to news stories that show daily death tolls in numbers they have never seen before. If your child is experiencing grief or general fears about death, try to help them name exactly what they are afraid of. Then you can address that specific fear and offer them reassurance, such as naming everyone who is okay and reminding them that you are all doing things every day to keep yourselves safe. For young children, this may include reminding them of all the measures you take to keep your bodies safe, by washing hands, staying home, and not playing with friends. Children who have experienced loss. For children who have experienced the death of a loved one, here are some tips for parents on how to manage difficult conversations and feelings. Be honest with your child. It can feel so hard to share terrible news with a child, and sometimes adults may be tempted to use vague language or sugarcoat the truth. If a loved one dies, it's important to be explicit and say so. Examples of concrete language may include that their body has stopped working and they will not be coming back. Avoid using confusing words like passed away or went to sleep and will never wake up. You can reassure your child that just because somebody's body has died, it does not mean that they don't continue to be a part of our memory or our hearts. Decide your own beliefs about death. Expect that children may be curious about death and what happens next. Answer your child's questions according to what you believe or want to teach your child to believe. You can say that every family has different beliefs, but that these are yours or your family's. If it's more comfortable, you can also admit that you don't have all the answers, but you are open to their questions and continued conversations. Listen and leave room for all emotions. There is no right or wrong way to feel. Leave daily space to acknowledge feelings, including your own. Keep in mind that grief is uneven, and just when you have a handle on how your child is responding and reacting, they may change for better or worse. Similarly, when you think you've gotten past the pain, it may hit your child again. For younger children, one activity to try is to ask your child to list all of the different types of weather. Then ask what their emotional weather is today. Are they feeling cloudy, partly sunny, in a hurricane? Ask them to think how their weather changes each day, or sometimes many times in a day. Reassure them that their mood will change as often as the weather, and they won't always feel the way they are feeling. Share your emotions. It can be helpful for children to see you managing your own difficult feelings. You can say something like, "Of course I'm sad because he was my father. And we can be sad together because it's sad to lose people we love. But I won't always be sad like this, and I will feel better." Offer reassurance. The loss of one important person in their lives can make children worry that there will be other losses to come. Whenever possible, reassure children that you and others are safe and healthy. If it feels appropriate, offer them the option to make lists of all the people who love them and who will care for them if something were to happen. For younger children, remind them of concrete ways to feel reassured. For example, ask them if they're in the dark and feeling scared, what action they could take to feel less scared. Guide them toward realizing that they can turn a light on. Let them know that when they have any scary thoughts or feelings, to share them with you, because just like it can feel better to turn the light on in a dark, scary place, it can also feel better to name their scary feelings so that other people can see them. Maintain household routines. While it may take time to get back into predictable schedules, especially while grieving, resuming regular routines can help children feel secure and have some certainty in an uncertain world. Model, share, and support coping skills. For younger children, try this exercise to help them develop strategies for comfort. Ask your child what comfort feels like, smells like, and tastes like. Give examples such as, "For me, comfort feels like a warm hug. It tastes like warm hot chocolate and smells like fresh flowers." Then ask them to think about what comforts them and help them write down a list. Then they can reference their comfort list when they need to. Acknowledge positive moments and actions throughout your child's day. Even in tragedy and trauma, it's important to notice the everyday accomplishments that children make, like cleaning their room, completing a puzzle, or scoring a basket. Noticing the small day-to-day may seem insignificant, but it can give your child an important boost and give them permission to take pleasure in the small things. Maintain self-care. Whenever possible, prioritize sleep, movement, and healthy eating. In challenging times such as quarantine, it can be difficult to make sure that you get your basic needs met. However, research tells us that focusing on maintaining sleep, movement, and healthy eating can help improve our mental health during difficult times and beyond. Choose an object. Find something that helps both you and your child feel connected to your lost loved one. This object can provide comfort and be a concrete way to feel connected to the memory of someone who is not there. Welcome the good stuff. Give permission, both verbally and non-verbally, to experience laughter, joy, and positive emotions alongside the sense of loss. Reassure your children that this does not betray the sadness, but it's an important part of healing. Children can often be afraid that laughing or feeling joy means they are somehow not honoring their lost loved one, and need permission from you to enjoy moments whenever possible. Social distancing restricts our ability to attend funerals, memorials, or other gatherings where we and our children would traditionally find support. For this reason, it's important to find new ways to memorialize loss for children during this time. Keeping children involved in the process of commemorating and sharing their thoughts and memories can provide healing and important connection. Some ideas include virtual ceremonies, creative art projects, letter writing, keeping a physical memorial in your house, and inviting others to write or tell video stories of the loved one to make a memory book or video blog for the future. We hope this module has been helpful. If you have any additional concerns or questions about your child, do not hesitate to reach out to your pediatrician for resources. You may also send any questions about how to have difficult conversations with children during the COVID-19 pandemic to the Mount Sinai Parenting Center. at parentingcenter@mountsinai.org. Thank you and be well.